Today I wanted to touch on something that it's very trendy right now. If you were to give this a Google, it's going to be everywhere. Self-care. Self-care is go get a massage or buy these essential oils, and to me that's basically telling you to, go buy something. You need to buy something. And I thought to myself, gosh, is that really what self-care is? What is self-care? So I have a couple of definitions here that I know I'm pulling out my outline here for those of you can't see me, but so I've got a couple of definitions of self-care, and what Wikipedia says, totally reputable source, but Wikipedia says it refers to actions and attitude which contribute to the maintenance of well-being and personal health and promote human development. So then I went and I was like, okay, so then I went to the psychology dictionary, and it said, these are our daily activities in looking after ourselves. The process of looking after oneself, avoiding all threats and issues that make a person face irritability and uncomfortable situations. Well, I kind of stopped for a second with that one and was like, that's a little impossible, I feel like. So then I found another one that I said, okay, I could see this. So it's the practice of activities to sustain life and health normally carried out by an individual or himself. And I was like, okay, so the way I take away from that is you must take charge of your own self-care. You can't expect other people to do these things for you. This is something that you do to look after yourself. And I was like, okay, I kind of like that. I like that a lot. Now, another one, so Psychology Today. It's a blog, a psychology blog, and it's online. Actually was referred to by a psychologist friend of mine to take a look at this site. Dr. Kwanisi Rainey, what's up if you're listening? But Maria Barada, PhD, she's a licensed clinical social worker also. But she says, self-care in essence is the mindful taking time to pay attention to you. Not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that ensures that you are being cared for by you. And that, I just said, yes. When I think about self-care, which can also be proper health care, but when you think about self-care, I think about me. What do I need to care for myself? What does that even look like? And to each of you, it may be something completely different. It may be going shopping. Maybe sometimes you want to buy yourself something nice. But whatever that may look like, I think it's really important that we take care of ourselves, because when you don't, you get stressed out, and the busyness of our society, your job, your spouse, your kids, your friends, your family, you get pulled in all of these different directions. And I feel like sometimes we lose sight of what's the most important, and that's making sure that you're well, because guess what, guys? If you're not well, you can't take care of your kids. You can't take care of your spouse. You can't take care of your family. You can't do well in school if you're in school at night. You won't show up at work either. So in order to show up as the best version of yourself, it is incredibly important to make sure that you're doing those things to care for yourself. I'm going to use the word self like 1,000 times today, so just go ahead and get used to that. I apologize. So when I think about self-care, I said, okay, well, what are some acts of self-care? What is going to help you to make sure that you're staying well? Number one thing, guys, is sleep. If you are not sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night, you may feel fine. I can't tell you over the course of my time as a clinician where I heard people say, oh no, 4 hours, that's my goal. That's when I'm the best. And I'm like, are you really? Is it really when you're your best? Because all the research shows that 6 to 8 hours is what you need. Now, me personally, anything less than 7, move out of the way, world. You don't want to deal with that Danielle at that point in time. She's not a lot of fun. okay? But I know that about myself. So making sure that you're getting that 6 to 8 hours of sleep is really, really important. And on that area of sleep, you also want to make sure that you're getting good sleep. It's like, well, how do I control my sleep? How do I control if I sleep well? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can eat right, okay? Which we're going to go into depth with that later, but studies show that if you have healthy nutrition and you're nourishing your body, you tend to get a better, more active sleep. And active sleep meaning you're going into REM sleep, which is what actually really rejuvenates the body, okay? Number 2 is you can exercise, okay? Physical activity throughout the day tires your body, and at night, the more physically active you are through the day, by the time you reach the nighttime, you're tired. You want to go to bed. Now, there are certain, little side notes and disclaimers where some people may have sleep disorders like insomnia or even sleep apnea, but there are ways to treat those too. So if you have something like that, I really encourage you to follow up with your PCP, go to your primary care physician, and have those issues checked out so that you can go see a pulmonologist or have a sleep study done, something to help you to sleep better. It's really, 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 really important. The third thing that I want to say about sleep is to turn off your white noise, okay? I'm going to throw my mom under the bus. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But I am going to throw you under the bus a little bit in the sense that she has to go to sleep with her TV on. And I get that because you don't want to hear, what if something goes boom in the night, especially being a female. If my husband's not home and I hear something outside, it's hard for me to fall asleep. But research shows that with that white noise on in the background, you don't get that good REM sleep that you need. So you're not doing that good active rest. Your body's not getting the rest and rejuvenation that it needs. So some suggestions, if you do need some white noise, maybe try something like a sound machine, okay? Because the sound's there, but you don't have the light of the television bouncing off the walls in your room, for lack of a better term. But a sound machine, something that has a timer on it too, that maybe once you fall asleep, because it takes a little while to get into REM rest, right? REM sleep. So maybe having something set on a timer so that it'll turn off after a little bit. Those are just some things that I think will really help you to sleep better. So eating well, physical activity, and just taking out that white noise. The second topic that I want to talk about in an act of self-care is eating well. Guys, nourishing your bodies is the most important thing that you can do for self-care, and that's coming from an exercise physiologist who thinks that exercise is the most important thing on the face of the earth, because it is, sort of. I'm not a registered dietitian. I can't stress that enough. Now, if you want to hear about a registered dietitian, go a couple of shows back, and I interview Kayla. She's our dietitian for Health 365 and Wellstar Health Place. We had some really good topics in there. But one of the things that I can do is I can give you some recommendations. And you want to avoid fad diets. Guys, they're a fad for a reason, okay? A fad is something that comes in and then goes out quickly. That's why we call them fad diets. They're not sustainable, hence the word fad diets. Kayla once told me a couple of things that you can look out for if you know that it's a fad diet is if they're telling you to eliminate a food group. That's usually a red flag, okay? Most food group, minus sweets, which they may be there for a little mental stimulation, but nutritionally, they don't really do anything for you. But if it's something that's telling you to eliminate carbohydrates, which isn't a food group, it's actually a macronutrient. But if it's telling you to eliminate carbohydrates or eliminate fats or don't eat bread, guys, you can have the bread. Just have the whole wheat bread, okay? You don't have to have the spongy, white, delicious, awesome bread. I'm just kidding. There actually is some really good whole wheat breads. If you look at some of Kayla's videos on Wellstar Health Place, the virtual dietitian, she does give you some examples of some really good whole wheat breads. But yeah, so if you're going to cut out a whole food group, Anything that is really restrictive, like whether that be restrictive of when you can eat, hello, intermittent fasting, or if it's something that wants you to overeat in one area, that's another sign, hello, keto diet. Which both have been proven to show good for some things, but for the general population, you just want to make sure that those are good things for you. A good resource is choosemyplate.gov. Guys, what I love about Choose My Plate is that you don't have to focus on a number. You're not counting calories. You're not counting how much protein did I get pre-workout? Or, oh, how many carbs am I having? Oh, well, Pam told me that I don't need to eat that. No, doesn't matter. Choose My Plate is wonderful because it gives you a picture of a plate and it says half the plate fruits and veggies. A quarter of the plate needs to be a whole grain, so like brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat bread, sweet potatoes or red potatoes. And then a quarter of the plate needs to be a lean protein. That's it. Hello. That's it. It's that simple. Then you can work off of portions and not be so obsessed with that number. One of the good things that Kayla also taught me is that no matter what diet you're on, there go my air quotes that you can't see again, but whatever diet you're on, none of them ever tell you to cut out leafy green vegetables. Because they're delicious, they're good for you, they're high in nutrients, and they have a low caloric density. So meaning you can eat a lot of them to get that feeling of being full, and you're not intaking a lot of calories with it. Leafy green vegetables are wonderful for your body. They've got lots of fiber and other things that Kayla can talk to you about. If you're really interested in hearing a lot about a lot of the nutrients, the micronutrients that are inside of leafy green vegetables, make sure that you check out Kayla. So leafy green vegetables, choosemyplate.gov, avoiding fad diets. Also, guys, one of the easiest things you can do is drink water. Guys, majority of our body is water. I hate to tell you that. I know. I wish we were made of soda too, because it would just really taste a lot better that way. But you need water. So there's a lot of mixed reviews on this, and I'm about to get a little gross for a second, but here's the best way that you can tell if you're drinking enough water. What color is your urine? Simple as that. Is it dark yellow? That's usually a sign of dehydration. If it's more on the clear side, you're probably doing pretty good, okay? It can be that simple to where you're not having to measure all of these things out. Some people have said to do half of your body weight in ounces of water. To me, that sounds kind of confusing because to me, I'm like, well, half my body weight in water, I can't drink that many pounds of water a day. So I like to just tell people to go off of the color of your urine. Am I drinking enough water that way? Guys, if you're thirsty, drink water, period. It can be that simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. But what we see on social media and the internet sometimes, I feel it can give mixed messages. So, one of the ways that we can help you here at Wellstar, whether you're an employee, whether you're a community member, is you'll notice in our bistros and our cafeterias, we've created a program called Eat Well. And what it is it's a nutrition labeling program that labels each food green, yellow, or red. They're little stars, okay? What else in our life is green, yellow, and red? Hello, traffic lights. So we tried to keep it pretty easy. So if you see something that's green, has a green star next to it, then it's going to be high nutrients, low calories, low in saturated fats. We have little pamphlets that we can hand out if you need them. They're all over our cafeterias and bistros. So that's going to be a food that you're going to want to eat all the time. That's a go, okay? Now, if you see something that's got a yellow star next to it, that's going to be proceed with caution or in moderation. It's not something you're going to want to do all the time. Now, if you see something with red star next to it, that's going to be a no-go. You don't want to do that. You want to rarely eat that, if eat that at all. Now, guys, again, Kayla and I talked about this in our podcast a few shows back. So if you can, try not to eat those things. But in moderation is totally fine. You can have things every once in a while. There's no problem with things like that, okay? Now, so we've talked about sleep. We've talked about eating well. Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention, Kayla also did a really awesome video with our chefs that explain why we labeled things red, yellow, and green. So you can also check that out too, and I believe that's on the Wellstar Health Place website, wellstarhealthplace.org. So you can check that out also. That's just another good way for you to kind of see our method to the madness, so to speak. But so we talked about sleep, we talked about eating well. So the third point I'm gonna make is my favorite point, and that is fitness. Exercise, moving your body. Research shows that 30 minutes of movement per day, I'm not talking about 30 minutes of CrossFit or sprinting or high intensity interval training or whatever, Tai Chi, whatever. You can see where I'm going with this. It doesn't matter what kind of movement you do, guys. You can go and you can walk briskly. Now, what a brisk walk means is that you're breathing hard like this. Okay, if you can walk and talk like I'm talking right now, you should probably pick up the pace a little bit, because the cardiovascular or the heart, the benefits that you're getting on your heart aren't really being present. Now, is walking at any speed going to be better than sitting on the couch eating potato chips? 100%, absolutely. So if you haven't exercised at all, I don't care how fast you walk. I don't even really care how long you walk. Just get up and walk. Okay, or march in place. Go on YouTube, and there's all kinds of videos on YouTube. There's one in particular that it's walk off the pounds or walk away the pounds. You literally walk in place in front of your television for 30 minutes, and you actually do the amount of steps that's equivalent to doing a 5K race, which is pretty dope, because then you don't even have to move out in front of your TV. But the internet has all kinds of things available to you if you're not really sure how to exercise. Well, Danielle, I hate exercising. Why do I need to exercise? Guys, even above obesity, high blood pressure, smoking, and other forms of heart disease, the greatest predictor of early onset death is low fitness. Dramatic pause. Okay, low fitness, that's huge. That's one of the biggest controllable factors you can have. Not only that, but exercising daily is going to reduce your stress levels. You're going to eat better. Research shows that if you exercise, you're more likely to make better choices. So you can, and not even just better choices, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna have that glass of wine. You know, I'm gonna have water instead. But also, you know what? I just exercised. I don't think I want to eat that cheeseburger from McDonald's, even though it's delicious. I think I'm gonna have this salad instead. When you start practicing healthy behaviors and start caring for yourself and taking care of yourself, you tend to start making better choices in all modalities of life too. So one of the things that you can do if you're a beginner, I already talked about going for a walk. You can look up our virtual training videos that are on wellstarhealthplace.org. If you're an employee, they are also on our intranet page on eSource. You can also just use good old-fashioned YouTube, guys. They have chair aerobics, yoga for beginners, chair yoga. They have all kinds of resources out there. If you don't see something that we have that'll work for you, they're everywhere. You can try joining Wellstar Health Place or Wellstar Highland Athletic Club, which is downtown at Atlanta Medical Center in our downtown campus. And what I think is really great about those is that they both have pools. So you can do some water exercise. If you've never exercised before, I think water aerobics or just water exercise in general is one of the best things that you can do. I used to teach water aerobics, so I have a little affinity to it, but it's low impact on your joints, so the likelihood of you doing what I like to call the penguin walk, where your joints don't bend and you like fall on the toilet instead of sit, you're going to reduce your muscle soreness if you do something that's low impact. Stationary cycling is also something that would be considered low impact and that won't give you as much of that soreness. So, review again. We talked about sleep, we talked about eating, nourishing the body, and we talked about fitness. Now, these next couple are going to be a little more not on your physical well-being, but more on your mental well-being. This next one kind of touches home to me because I had a really big issue with this, and it was learning to say no. Hello. That's so hard to do. For me, it was very hard to do. I'm a yes girl. I'm always enthusiastic. I never meet a stranger. And so when someone wants me to, hey, come help me develop this program over here, even though it has nothing to do with your work, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so stoked to do that. And then what happens over time is I don't have time to take care of myself. I don't have time to do the things that I like to do that help to give me that mental stability. So then I start to get sick more often. So learning how to say no in all areas of life, whether that be, maybe not taking on that extra project at work because you're already bogged down 40 hours a week, okay? Maybe that means telling your family no to that dinner because you've been out every single night this week and you don't feel like going out again. Guys, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm so sorry, not tonight. I'm just really tired. There's nothing wrong with that at all. For all the mamas out there, it's wonderful to volunteer and be a part of in your children's school, but know your limits. Okay, if you're working 40 hours a week and then you're going after school and you're volunteering for all of these events 5 days a week, where is that time for yourself? You're super mom. Love it. Love that you're super mom. But make sure super mom has some personal time, okay? Learn to say no. Dads, same thing with you, okay? You can work 40 hours a week, but you can't be a coach to all the sports 365 days out of the year. Okay? Make sure that you learn to say no. All right? So, we are sleeping, we're eating, we're getting our fitness on, we're learning how to say no. Now, this one is definitely something that is really hard in the healthcare industry, but in anybody who works in customer service. Okay, decompressing throughout the day. Whoa. How do you decompress throughout the workday? Well, there's a couple of things you can do. Sometimes I like to just get up and just go for a walk. And if you don't want to be crazy, guys, just grab you a piece of paper, make it look like you're busy and you're doing something, and just take a lap around your floor and then come sit back down. Okay, or I keep some tea that I like to make myself hot tea instead of coffee in the middle of the day. And you can take some and go into the break room and make you a cup of tea. It pulls you away from your work for even if it is just 5 or 10 minutes, okay? Learning how to count backwards from 30. That's another thing that's been shown. There's all kinds of apps out there too that will just help you breathe. If you have an activity tracker of any kind, a lot of those, you can set reminders on them to remind you to just get up and walk around. And another thing too is literally just make sure you step away at lunch, guys. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes I work through lunch. Heck, I did it yesterday because we just had a crazy busy week. Nobody's perfect. But try to make it a point to remove yourself and take that lunch break. Even if you can only get a 15-minute break, that's fine. We get it. Things get busy, but make sure that you're really taking that lunch break. So, sleeping, eating, fitness, learn to say no, decompressing throughout the day. This one is get to know you. Wait, what? I already know me. That's weird. Why would you even say that? Well, here's why. When I'm specific, you need to know what stresses you out, okay? Know what stresses you out. Know what your triggers are that are going to induce anger or sadness, just those emotions. Anything that's going to heighten you emotionally, figure out what it is and practice ways to cope with it, okay? One of my biggest triggers, y'all, is hunger, okay? I have hypoglycemia, so I have low blood sugar, so I have to eat every few hours. Sometimes I get busy and I don't eat. Well, I tell you what happens. I get jittery. My hands start to shake. I'll get a little lightheaded sometimes, but I won't actually pass out. And then I'm angry at everyone. That's what my husband, he calls it hangry. And he's like, if I'm ever get snappy, he's like, hey, what would you like? I don't care. He's like, ooh, somebody needs to eat. And he's not being smart. He's actually telling the truth. Sometimes I need to be reminded that I'm just hungry. I'm not actually mad. So how do I cope with that? I keep little things in my purse and my lunchbox. Actually, when I walked in today to record this podcast, I was like, you guys got a fridge? Because I've always got food on me. I just know that about me. Also, to kind of silo off of that, you need to know what makes you happy. So what I mean by that is you need to plan things throughout the week that bring you joy. Okay, so I have two really good examples. So I'm a people person. I love people. So I love spending quality time with the people that I love. That's something that I love to do. Maybe some of you love to be alone. That is perfectly fine. Everybody's different. But me personally, I love to be with people, especially the people that I love. So my husband and I, we work out together a couple of times a week. It's not every day, but when we can, we work out together, and we always say at the beginning of the day, hey, do you want to work out this afternoon? Yeah. Guys, I get so much joy from that. I look forward to it all day long. It literally, I know, cheesy, she's a newlywed. She has only been married 6 months. I know it'll fade. That's what I hear. But it's the truth. I just love spending that time with him, and it's not actually working out. It's the fact that we laugh, we talk, I get to hear about his day. It's that time, it's that quality time. Now, on the flip side of it, my best friend and I, we do weekly date nights together. And I love doing that with her. We'll do dinner somewhere, we'll cook dinner for ourselves, or we'll go for a walk. It doesn't matter. It's that quality time with her that brightens up my entire day, because I know that I get to spend that time with her. Because when I'm done spending time with her, I'm rejuvenated, I'm happy, I feel joy. Another thing that I really love to do is I love a good pedicure. If I'm going to do that at the end of the day, my whole day is, I even find myself getting like, oh, hey, it's 4:30, bye. I'll leave a little early. Hope my boss isn't listening. But I look forward to those things, okay? It brings you joy. If you can bring yourself joy throughout the day, those are things that are gonna really help you to be well all year round. So we have sleep, fitness, learning to say no, decompressing throughout the workday, getting to know you better, know what stresses you out, know how you can deal with it. Know what makes you happy, plan things that give you joy. So my last two, I miscounted. I only have 9. I don't have 10, sorry. But you need to learn to separate your work from your life. And this is very, very hard for me because I am so passionate and I love what I do. I love helping people. I love exercising with people. I love talking about wellness with people. As you can see, I've literally been talking for like 20-something minutes now and I haven't shut up yet. So I love what I do, and it's really hard for me to leave that at work sometimes. But you need that separation. You need to take a break from work. You need to be able to go home and be home. Be with your family, be with your pets, be by yourself if you don't have a family or have pets yet. Whatever it is, you need to separate the two. Carrying that stress of the workday, even if it is, because like I love what I do and it can get stressful sometimes, like this week, hello, but even though it's a good stress, it's still stress. So you need to learn to leave it at home. How can you do that? Well, sometimes I go straight to the gym after work and don't even go home. I go work off that stress. Sometimes I just go for a walk. Sometimes I go down the road and turn up the music as loud as I can and just sing or whatever. And I don't sing well. That's why the music goes up really loud. But anything that you think can de-stress you so that you're not bringing that stress from work home. So the very last thing that I want to talk about is that spiritual care. Now, I don't mean religion. That's not what I'm talking about, guys. When I talk about your spirit, I talk about things like meditating. Meditation has been shown to really de-stress you, I guess is the word I'm looking for there. De-stress you, and also it lowers your heart rate and lowers your blood pressure. Fact. If you do happen to be religious, praying can also help to ease the mind and quiet the mind. Sometimes taking a walk outside and connecting with nature, if you're into that, can also be really good. I've even had one of my friends gets up and she connects with her spiritual self, for lack of better term as well, but she connects with her spiritual self by getting up and watching the sunrise every single day. I'm normally in the gym at that time and I ain't watching the sunrise, but that's what works out for her. Some other things that you can think about doing too is practicing gratitude. So what that means is at the beginning of your day, you sit down and you say, these are all the great things I have going on in my life. Because if you can focus on the great part, the good things in life, when the negative things come in, you're like, I got all these awesome things. That's not a big deal. Not every time. Like I said, ain't nobody perfect. But if you practice that gratitude and noticing those things, that's what's going to really help you kind of get over any kind of negative things that come in. Reading or listening to something inspirational. Guys, there are podcasts, there are books, there are YouTubes, there are TED Talks. There are so many things out there that can help you with personal growth and development. That's really what the spiritual care is all about, is personal growth and development. Personal growth and awareness, okay? Knowing yourself. That's really what all of self-care is about, all right? So just to kind of recap some of the things we talked about: spiritual care. We talked about separating your work from your home, from the rest of your life. Know what makes you happy and do those things on a regular basis. Guys, if it doesn't make you happy or bring you joy, don't do it. Don't choose to do it. Now, every now and then you gotta, compromise and sacrifice. But if you find yourself consistently doing something you don't like to do, maybe it's time to reevaluate what you're doing. Just a thought. Just a thought. Get to know what stresses you out. Know your stressors and know how to deal with them. Decompress throughout your workday. Learn to say no, which is probably one of the hardest ones on this list if I had to pick one that was really hard. Make sure that you move for at least 30 minutes every day. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep, and make sure that you're nourishing your body, guys. If you can try to practice to put these 10 things into your, at least maybe not every day, that may be hard, but at least into your week, every week, it'll really help to take care of yourself, to practice. These are those self-care acts, guys. That was a long-winded conversation on self-care. I'm really glad that you guys decided to tune in with us. If you have any questions, I'm going to put some of these references that I found in the notes below. So if you're curious where I got some of my definitions or where I got some of my information from, it'll all be in the notes below. And thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.